Hey everyone, I'm on my back porch. The sun is beginning to set, or pretty much already has. I had this really cool vision for what this might look like, and it just doesn't look as cool as I thought, and that's okay. Sometimes things don't work out quite like we planned. But I thought the back porch, being outside as the sun was going down, was a good setting to talk about the final moments of the life of Christ. If you were a follower of his, you would have heard him talk over and over about loving your enemy and praying for those who persecuted you. And you would have watched in these final weeks as living out that truth brought Jesus closer to the cross. And you might have begun to wonder in your mind if this really made sense. Is this really the right thing to do if the result of doing the right thing is death? I would imagine if you were there at the foot of the cross and you watched Jesus begin to breathe his last breaths, you might have thought, surely he's going to pull a rabbit out of the hat. Surely the clock isn't going to go down to zero before something happens. Surely he's going to be able to figure something out right at the last minute. And I can imagine as Jesus cried out and breathed his last breath, his followers were confused and disappointed. See, we often have this core assumption that if we do the right thing, then good things should happen to us. If we love others, if we treat others better than ourselves, then life should give us something. And when we look at the life of Christ, that's not how it worked. As Christ loved people and gave himself for others, it drew him closer and closer to the cross. We have to ask ourselves, are we going to be faithful even when life isn't giving us the results that we want? Are we going to continue to follow the way of Jesus? Because the way of Jesus is self-denial and self-sacrifice. Now, as Christians, we know what's right around the corner for Jesus. We know that he redefines the meaning of the cross, that nobody even considers it a Roman execution tool anymore. But in the moment when the questions of confusion loom large, it can be harder to continue to be faithful. It can be harder to pursue truth and obedience and to trust God when there's a lot of confusion. With what the world is going through right now, I would imagine that people run the range of emotions. Some people are confused and scared. Some people are bored. Some people wonder if we're making too big of a deal of all of this. The question we need to ask ourselves, are we continuing to be faithful? Even when we don't know what's going to happen, even when we don't know what's around the corner. Because we know the bigger picture. We know that God saves, that he redeems, and that God is going to restore one day. And we continue to live faithfully into that truth. So Christians, even in light of the crucifixion of Christ, even in light of the disappointment and confusion that followers of Christ can feel, even in their obedience, I encourage you to remain faithful.